3, 2, 1.
It's time for a
Torrian,
I'm a boomstick.
Well, I've been
I've been doing this all day. I'm like addicted to it.
cool. Well, again, thank you guys so much for coming out. In case you guys don't know, my name is Chad James. I play Boomstick in Death Battle.
My name is Torrian. I do some of the 3D animation.
And I'm Ben. I play Wiz in Death Battle.
Woo! Yes, nothing feels better than when we request our own applause. Please validate us.
It worked at E3. We'll validate Torrian and Chad, not Ben.
What?
Oh!
What's wrong with shade? We're already throwing shade. All right, let's do it.
I guess it's gonna be a fun panel.
Especially was nowhere.
What's your name? Rick. You're my favorite, Rick.
Who here is for me? Who here is on board with me in Team Ben? Not enough of them, thank you, but I need some more hands. Everybody raise both hands.
Who's on Rick? Who's on Rick's side? Oh, one.
I'm really gonna miss you.
You guys can meet up later. I think it'll be the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
My side, actually, I have other hats. My side with Boomstick, the other with Wiz.
Oh.
It's either, no, here's the thing, it's either Team Boomstick or Team Torrian.
Oh, there it goes.
Okay. I mean,
he gave us...
This is a weird way to start this panel.
No, this is great.
no, this is great.
This is our first panel. So, you know,
we battle at the end of it?
yeah, we're just going to ask you guys questions.
You guys are doing the panel. That's actually a really good idea.
And then you can tell us, you know,
Just
just
good
about
questions.
how things go. For example, like, how does it feel to wear that awesome Spider-Man outfit? Cold.
All right, you
I
know.
was not expecting cold is the answer to that.
It gets Cloud over here with the selfie stick. Like, why Cloud?
What? Okay.
All right, here we go.
I'm just wondering, why is he constantly overcompensating himself?
Oh.
Do you just want to come up here?
Just throwing shade there on the road.
All right, cool. So we got something to show you guys here in a little bit. We're going to do that at the end of the panel. But just so you guys are aware, we have a panel tomorrow. It'll be very similar to this one, but you guys are going to be asking us questions, and you never know where that leads. So it'll be a little bit different. But then, if you guys have time, make sure you come out on Sunday. We're going to be in the main stage area at 2 p.m., and we will be premiering the Afro Samurai versus Samurai Jack episode.
Is that one of those first members?
Can we go again?
Is that one of those like, oh, first members get to see the episode, but the con exclusive.
Listen, we're just not going to talk about the first member aspect because we're going to just do this on Sunday.
Well,
and we really appreciate it if you became first member so that you can see it on Monday.
Typically, first members get to see Death Battles 2 days early. We're going to be premiering it on here the day before it goes up.
Yeah.
Online for the first time.
Like a little extra.
Just for you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, I got an idea.
Here we go.
Who should bet on Afro or Jack?
Again, why are we here?
My money's on Jack. My money's on Afro.
Honestly, either or. It's a good matchup.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, these things can go either way.
This is like my favorite sound we've ever done.
Oh, yeah.
This is great.
It's $20 if Afro
Now we have a
wins.
bet
Wait,
going.
betting who?
What's up?
Is that legal here?
No!
I'm gonna bet Boomstick $20 if Afro wins.
What?
You're gonna hold on.
I don't understand that.
Wait.
What's the odds?
You're gonna bet me that Afro wins.
He knows!
I'm not going to be able to confirm or deny that bet because, again, I do know the result.
That's such an awful bet.
No, I think he's just clever. He's like, I'm gonna get the answer with money. Because if he agrees, Afro loses. If he turns it down, then he wins. Anyway, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I just want to have fun though.
We're having a lot of fun, man. Thanks. Cool. So, yeah, I guess you want to do some questions initially? No, right, you're messing with stuff. That's fine.
Yeah, we're trying to test the audio for the video that we're going to play while doing the panel, so
It's always
we're
fun.
multitasking. But yeah, we can do questions.
Yeah. Cool. So one thing that we like to do, I don't remember who I learned this from, but I was very impressed. instead of us just trying to like call on somebody who's raising their hand because it's really confusing and we break hearts because somebody thinks that we pointed at them, we're like, no, sorry, actually, we're trying to get the guy behind you. Hold up something interesting so that we can call out, like, that dude holding up the mask, or things like that. Like that guy with the backpack right away. We're gonna go with backpack because he had his hand up already and then immediately, like he's like something interesting. Backpack already. Ooh, I also like unlicensed looby. Or sorry. I'm sorry. Something got crossed in my brain about a ruby on a body pillow. Oh my god.
That is Chad's fanfic version.
We're not gonna hear that, but I'm pretty sure that's unlicensed. Anyway, alright, what's up, man?
It's a little off topic, but I can't.
Sweet, we haven't even began. There is no topic, man.
I can't find this on the internet. Why is he called Stuttering Craig?
What was that?
I don't know.
It's like, ooh.
This is great.
I do know this answer. I worked with Craig for a very long time. Craig used to talk over himself a lot. Like when he was like, he'd get excited and he'd be talking and just kind of like talk over himself. So instead of saying, I'm talk over myself, Craig, he went with Stuttering Craig because it sounds a whole lot better. So that is where that came from. And you were actually correct. That was way off topic. All right.
Let's do. Come on. I'm gonna pick you. Come on. The giant Buster sword. Come on. And the selfie stick. Where are you from, Klaus?
Where did you guys come up with your name, Boomstick?
My name? My mom. Funny story. She's like, Dorian is the name, but I don't want to do that. Let's just put a T in front of that instead of the D, and now we have Torrian. And in the hospital, was like, are you sure?
My parents named me Ben, and that's pretty cool because they like Star Wars, and I like Star Wars. Named me after Ben Kenobi.
Really?
Yeah. Or at least that's what I think. That's what I tell myself. That's what I No. My dad really wanted to name me after him, and my mom was like, no. But she liked Ben anyway, so she went with it.
You got awesome names, though.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Mine would be named after my grandpa.
The question was Wiz
Yeah.
and Boomstick name, right? Or is it just Boomstick?
Yeah,
Nobody cares about Wiz? Nobody cares about Wiz?
It's our panel.
No one's there.
There's only the one who actually gives the real information.
You must. Nope, I can't swear here. Sorry. I was about to. That's incorrect, you bad person.
Yeah, you have like a PhD or something.
In poultry science, that's right.
Did you have all the work, though?
The Boomstick name, okay, to get to the question, because I was distracted over here, but it is, where did the Boomstick name come from, right? Who asked that?
Cloud.
Well, okay.
So we stick
The Boomstick name came like right off the bat. Basically, when I pitched Death Battle, when it was approved, it was you, Chad, me, Craig, and Destin. We all got into a room, and we were talking about what the show's going to be like. When I pitched it, it was just me on a mic.
Yep.
I hadn't really thought about what the host situation would be like. It wasn't even named Wiz or anything like that. But we immediately decided, okay, we want 2 hosts, because we're going to go with like a funny man, straight man kind of thing. And at first, we thought both hosts should be like super hardcore into guns and blood and stuff like that.
We like death.
Which is why Wiz and Boomstick sound very different in the very early episodes, because the characters have gone through a very long process of change. But the second character, I don't remember who came up with it, but it was immediate. Like, oh, we should have one character who's really into guns. His name is Boomstick.
Yeah, it was weapons expert. So I was like,
yeah,
because when we talked about having 2 hosts so that we could like kind of play off each other, and I wasn't even confirmed. This was just literally a meeting that Ben was having pitching because we all very much believe that you get a lot stronger of a product if you have more people involved. You can get more feedback. And so Ben was doing this, and we were just like, oh yeah, it'd be great if we had another host. And then Ben and I got to talking, and he was like, would you want to host? And I'm like, okay. He's like, you do dumb voices.
I'm pretty sure in that meeting we were like, we came up with the character Boomstick, and we were like, so what should he sound like? And you did your first version of the Boomstick voice, and we're like, oh, I guess Chad's Boomstick. There we go.
I remember you saying, he's like, one should be, well, if we're going to do 2, one should be a weapons expert, and then the other one should be like a science guy.
Yeah.
And so it just I don't know, if you really think about it, the name Boomstick, it's just literally like weapons man. It's pretty much, and then Wiz, he's a science whiz. That's what
I decided on Wizard as the name a day later or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just eventually devolved. It was going to be like, his full name was Wizard, but Boomstick just calls him Wiz. And now just everybody calls him Wiz.
Yep. And so that's how that came about. All right, roll up some stuff.
Then I think it's your turn.
Yeah, it's your turn.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do is that Godzilla over here? Oh no, it's Biollante.
Yeah. So what is the chance we will ever see Metal Gear Ben in Death Battle?
Ooh, this will be good.
You guys are starting
Wait,
out.
he is?
First is the stuttering Craig question, now it's Metal Gear Man. You guys are digging.
Great.
He's
like old school
He's
stuff.
on the monitors. Metal Gear.
He is, and
I'm
I'm
monitors.
probably never. Please. Metal Gear Ben's probably never coming back. Because that was just kind of a silly dome show that didn't quite pan out the way that I was told it would pan out, but you know.
Hey, but there is a fun story. Because you remember you were thinking about doing 2 pitches, and first you went with Metal Gear Ben.
No, I did Metal Gear Ben.
I know you did.
What was the other?
You were also, you hadn't formulated it yet. I remember you telling that you were also, like, the very beginning formulations of Death Battle were also in your mind.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Never mind. Whatever. Alright, let's see, hold some stuff up. This dude's giant pink box.
I didn't know. I can't.
Soda bar. Are you like Recycle Man or?
Oh, he's Psycho Man.
Oh, he's Doritos Diva. Got it. Cool.
Doritos.
Oh, he's,
I was gonna.
got it. Nice. Somebody likes me.
No. My brother can.
Ah.
So he lives up to the last name, but I'm terrible. I'm not even, no.
Wow.
Man,
Like, that's it. That's it. I'm done talking about it.
Tori, can you sing? I never asked you that.
Can I sing? No, I can do a cool boomstick voice though.
Yes, please. Share everyone. That was it.
Oh, that's way different. I'm Boomstick.
I'm Boomstick, baby.
Now you do it, Tori.
Next question.
Now you do it. No.
I just.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We only have 3. Yoshi.
There's just a couple over here.
Where's Yoshi? Right there.
When can we see Catacus again?
And that's one that does need to come back. Metal Gear Man is dead forever, as far as I'm concerned, but Catacus should come back.
I don't know. I mean,
That's a character on the podcast that we do, if you don't know.
I don't know. I keep thinking like, man, RTX is coming out. Maybe.
Oh, please.
We'll see.
You're just gonna walk around RTX dressed as. So if you don't know, it was the Halloween episode, right?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, we wanted to dress up. Tori and I are over in wardrobe, which at Rooster Teeth, the wardrobe department, you never know what you're gonna find. There's been so many skits and things that we've done across all these different brands that you can find like anything from like a really nice business suit to Hitler. And so like,
We're gonna fit.
yeah, or business Hitler. Don't like that. So we were going through, and Torian's trying to find an outfit because we were supposed to dress up for the episode, and there was just this cat suit, and it was a cape, and then he got this mask, and I was like, "You should do the cat suit." He's like, "I don't know," and I was like, "Ooh, love it." And he combined it with a cape and made this whole thing, and then then he just for some reason like made it into a character on that episode. He's like, "I'm Catechus. I'm the lawyer that defends gay cats." Glad your own joke cracked you up.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
How would you know the cats? Like regular cats too, not like cartoon anthropomorphic cats. It's just regular cats, and I'm defending them because they need.
Everybody gets in trouble sometime. So yeah, who knows?
It's a leopard print.
Torian-
Skin type body.
Torian, you have a couple panels that you're on at RTX.
Yeah,
I would love to see Catechus show up on one of those.
we'll see. Tune in.
Alright.
Next question. Let's see.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, it's your turn, Ben.
Let's do Master Sword.
I knew you were gonna do that.
It's gonna be heavy to hold up for like the rest of the panel.
Somebody's like, "Well, that's how I do it. Next time I'll hold up a chair."
Hold up something really heavy. Then we won't fall on you.
Could y'all read any of the salty YouTube comments?
I actually read most of them.
I mean, we read a lot of the comments because a lot of the suggestions are posted there. So we do go through the comments. I mean, obviously it's going to be hard to go through a couple 100,000 once the video's been up for a while, but especially when the video is first posted, yeah, we go through the comments.
Yeah, definitely. And
Specifically the salty.
As far as the salty comments go, I mean, we understand that Death Battle, like, at the end of the day, it is going to naturally cause some
Backlash.
division amongst people who have different opinions, because there is some, we do a lot of the science and the math to justify our decisions, but there's always going to be some subjectivity to looking at a fictional character that really doesn't have any inherent rules to reality applied to it. So yeah, we get it, and it's fine. Everybody's got their opinions.
Yeah, and we'll still, like, even, like, if somebody brings up something, they may be like really mad, but we'll still, like, try and find the constructive criticism in that. There's been multiple times when, like, you know, I'd see a comment or something and be like, oh, this guy's, like, clearly raging, but he says this couldn't happen because of this. And then, you know, I'll bring that up and Ben will be like, oh, yeah, but don't worry, that's covered because of here and here, and, like, we lightly touched on it this part of the episode. And we go, okay, cool. You know, like, so we do go through and read those, and then, of course, there's always the fun ones that are just like, kill yourself!
I remember after Goku vs. Superman, like,
Yes?
Well, I couldn't go on the internet without seeing at least like 50 kill yourself comments like every hour.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Ben and I both got death threats. I had death threats on my family. Can I talk about how many of that were common or not? I'm gonna just gloss over that.
I can talk about it. Somebody tried to punch me. Twice. I got a cop call on him. So that was fun, explaining to a police officer what Death Battle is.
Yeah, sir. Well, this fan ran up, hit me in the back of the head, and yelled, "That was for Goku." Now, this is... That was for Goku. That's what happened to Ben.
So if they did that, because I'm going to be like, this is for Twilight!
Yeah, I'm not going to encourage that at all.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I'm just so sorry about that, man.
That's okay, dude.
You're gonna get a tough call.
Okay, all right, cool. We totally missed that high five.
I wasn't working
Okay.
at Death Battle when Goku vs. Superman came out, so I had to go back and delete my comment on that video before they hired me.
Are you serious?
They're like, yeah, Torrian, love to have you. And I'm like, oh, cool. Wait a minute. Shoot. And I go back to my Twitter history. Ben, you suck. I like Goku. I should probably delete this one. But they are not.
That's like a call. I mean, it's not constructive, but at least it's more calm than most of the stuff we got. Like, you suck is pretty tame, generally speaking.
I don't normally see salty comments. I just go to the comment section. I use the finder to type my name just to see how many times it says that I'm awesome.
And so,
yeah, like so many people.
Don't encourage me.
You're very awful, Torrian.
Thank you.
We love you.
You guys are so sweet.
Now there's respect to man who sticks it out with beers and fighters.
There you go.
See?
Man, they already know. Like, this is. I didn't know you play beers.
Can we please?
Speaking of, Torrian's going to be in a Dragon Ball Fighters tournament tomorrow. If you want to think you can take it down. Yeah, throwing that out there.
That's fine. 20 bucks if any of them can beat me.
Okay, we're gonna do some money matches later.
I gotta make this a turbo plushie.
Oh wait, this is on camera. We're gonna play for fictional dollars. I don't know what the game laws are here.
Like Monopoly money?
Sure. Let's go to Hedgehog.
How far ahead do you guys plan in advance? Like, you have one episode of, how many episodes do you have already stacked up
Oh my god.
behind that?
A crap ton. So we generally plan the whole next year as a season before the year even starts. Like, we've already started talking about next year's episodes and started planning those out. However, those are always subject to change. There have been numerous episodes every year which we do change depending on what's going on with suggestions, what is popularly suggested based on, like, you know, like the Avengers comes out and everybody talks about a certain character. It's like suddenly this character's really hot, like Black Panther or something like that. We're like, oh, we got Black Panther, that's why everyone wants to see him. So we started this season with Black Panther. But
I don't think we've ever planned out an entire year and it been exactly what we said down on paper. Like, it always changes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good for us to get the general idea of, like, you know, how the season's going to go, so we can start getting people working on it, because Death Battle is a really long process.
We have multiple teams working on at least 3 to 4 episodes simultaneously, sometimes more, because there's just so many different stages to building an episode. While one's in the animation phase, the other one has to be in, like, the writing phase or the research phase, and so on. So yeah, we have to plan pretty far ahead.
It's all right, your turn.
Oh, let's do this pink flip flop back here.
Do you have any kind of production
sacrifice and stuff?
No, like, do we do anything special to celebrate each episode?
Like, we'll throw.
Or prepare.
Maybe? I wish we did. Instead, we just start the next
We're
one.
like, oh God, get on to the next one. We're behind a week.
I don't know. I guess if I can't figure out what I'm gonna do animation-wise, I'll just get drunk and then I'm like, oh, I got it.
You guys remember that dance scene in Deadpool versus Deathstroke?
Oh yeah.
You can thank drunk Torrian for that.
Oh yeah, tell that story.
Yeah, you guys are laughing. That's true. I made that while I was drunk. I was like, well, Deadpool would do something silly here, and he would dance. And I'm like, fuck. So, yeah, it was great. You know, it came out good. I was drinking Dos Equis.
Was it Dos Equis or was it hard apple cider?
Yeah. Something like mixed. You know, whatever was available.
Yeah.
Whatever was put in my hand as I hold it up.
There you go. No, but we have a very thought out, an established process for how we go about researching a death battle, writing it, and doing all that stuff. So we just kind of just go with the flow. That said, it is always nice, when an episode's done, so there's kind of 2 stages where we all get together and check everything out. So when the animation's done, it's great because we all come together, the animation goes up there, and it's just really cool to see the final product. And then also when the episode is fully put together, we have a TV in our bullpen where we work, and we cast it up there, and everybody kind of focuses on that, and then goes around and be like, man, the animation was insane, oh, good job editing. So that's I guess the only ritual part when we all get together and be like, yay, got another one done.
Yeah, but seriously, when Death Battle first started, it was a 2-week process to make each episode. So literally, when one is done, it's like, okay, that's done. On to the next one immediately after. There was no time to celebrate. So that's kind of still the case in a way, but it's a lot easier on us. We're no longer killing ourselves in kids.
Yeah.
All right.
Whose turn is it?
It's mine, I guess. I don't know. I don't keep track of these things anymore. Let's do the ears.
Okay, so how often does your own personal belief of who would win a death battle not actually match up with the results that are decided for it?
Good question.
If you guys didn't hear that back, how often do we believe someone will win a death battle and it doesn't match up with what actually happens? Are you talking about our initial feeling going into it, or
your belief,
who we want to win?
Who you want to win,
Yeah, because there's 2 ways to look at it. One is who you think will win going into it, which we always have some kind of prediction of, oh, well, it sounds like in a Thor versus Wonder Woman matchup, maybe that's not a good example. And Raven versus Twilight, Raven is going to win because she's a superhero or whatever versus a pony. And then maybe that might change as things are going on. But in terms of who we want to win, that happens more often than not. It switches to a character that we might not necessarily like as much. But at the same time, we talked about this on Cast a little while ago, how there's some benefit to not care.
What were you gonna? He was like, I can't curse. And then you're not care.
I think we've been doing this for so long that we're we know how the process goes. But I mean, one for me was Mai versus Chun-Li. I'm a big Street Fighter fan, and I played Chun-Li on Third Strike before I switched to Oro. So I was like, yeah, come on, Chun. And I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks.
But these days, we don't really get attached to the victor so much. So it's just we know what we're doing. We know one of them is going to die, even if it's a character we grew up with or whatever. So I do remember when we did Darth Vader versus Dr. Doom. I was like, yeah, Darth Vader's my guy. I'm a Star Wars fan. And he got wrecked. I would have been it would have been cool to see him win, but it's not really what the show's about.
Yeah. Let's see. There's a Gundam, I think, right there. Right?
What was the hardest death battle to make?
The hardest death battle to make. And there are different answers depending on what part of the process you're talking about. So there's the research process, there's the animation process. Well, Torrian, you can answer the animation part.
I think Wonder Woman and Thor was probably really hard to make.
Really?
Yeah, it's super high quality, and they're both pretty much Dragon Ball Z characters. And that type of stuff, to do that in 3D, I think that was before our new animators came on, so I was still doing a lot of this stuff by myself.
Even more than the cartoony fights?
The cartoony fights are fine because you can run through like a blackout stage and then you get a rough of what to do, and they're not too crazy, but like in terms of like scope, I mean, Wonder Woman flies to the moon, like, and then she comes back, and then there's this big superpower battle after that or whatever.
What about Ratchet versus Jack?
Yeah, Ratchet Jack is like 4 cartoony characters, so that was pretty difficult, but they didn't go to the moon and back. So,
I guess that would all take place.
Yeah, okay, you know, if it's more of
a lot of
Final
access.
Destination style type of thing, where they're kind of like in one spot and you're like back and forth, then traversing different sets, those are a little bit more difficult, you know, in terms of animation, editing effects and stuff like that, rendering, you know.
From a research process,
Hulk versus Doomsday.
Hulk versus Doomsday and Link versus Cloud. Both of those episodes were probably the longest debated, and it was also like super frustrating because we had so many meetings where finally we're like, okay, everyone's on the same page? Yes? Okay, good. And this is after like 2 hours and everyone's angry, and then like we all even like we did it, and then like somebody's like, oh, you know what? But what about blank? And you're just like, damn it! Like, and then we have to have that meeting and that debate again. Like, okay, you're right. That is a valid thing. Then what could this person do? Do they have anything that could counter that? And, yeah, Link versus Cloud and Hulk versus Doomsday. Those, I can't even tell you how many times we had that debate. Hulk versus Doomsday, even through like, we already had the fight script written, and we were still going through we were writing the host script, and then we still like double checking just by the way those characters are, and like it was such a hard fight.
Yeah, Link versus Cloud, that was one of our like our early death battles, so we didn't quite have the same sort of process that we do today. So it was very much like, we're going to start the conversation. Back then, it would just be me writing, and then when it was time to figure out who would win, I'd present an argument to Chad, and then he would try to counter whatever argument I have until we come to a decision. But that one in particular got heated because other people from the office would just like kind of overhear what we're talking about, and then they would have an opinion and jump in, and then somebody else would jump in, and then somebody else would jump in, and it just got chaotic.
It was bad, and then Craig got pissed because it's like taking everybody's time up. He literally walked in, and we were all like, I used to work in merchandise for Screw Attack, and I was up in the very, very front of the building we worked at, and I remember we were all sitting on the floor in a circle, yelling at each other, like about who would win between Link versus Cloud, trying to bring up these points. When I say yelling, it's just like you get really heated in the debate. None of us were actually mad at each other. But we just really wanted to get it settled. Yeah, and then he walks out and he's like, why are there like 6 employees like all yelling at each other? Like, it's really important and it's really hard. And then we thought, I remember because that is the meeting I was talking about, like we left that finally being like, we did it. And then Ben texted me 3 hours later. Oh, actually, I just remembered Link could do blank and blank, and I was just like, mother. I was so mad. And then I think I was just like, all right, fine, we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Nowadays, man, shout out to our research team for helping us out so much. That was before them. And nowadays we can just go to them and they've done all the research and you know, we still do our own research, of course, but they're the guys who like really know exactly at what point, at what time in a comic or a movie or whatever that something happens that is important that we need to take into account. So they do so much work for us and it's great.
All right, next one.
Yeah, what? You want money? You're paying to ask a question? Is that what's happening here?
Hold on, how much is that?
Don't get that money
I think it's like $8.
Is that gambling money for Afro or whatever?
Wait, are you challenging me?
Take my money.
Alright, well yeah, okay, money. Are we going with money?
Yeah, we're going with money. All right, one more time, everybody let's be quiet so we can hear. We're getting what? You just laughed at your own suggestion. Sans versus Monica?
Monokuma.
Monokuma.
Oh, that triangle thing?
No, there's literally. Did you see the vendor that's like selling like 90% Monokuma stuff?
Oh.
I was walking by the vendor room and I was like, that's a lot of Monokuma stuff. Like, that's their whole thing?
That's the bear thing, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, what was I thinking about?
I don't know, man. Like the Illuminati or something?
some shit? No, you're thinking of Close.
That's
So,
right.
like, it's the Illuminati symbol.
Oh.
Character.
Speaking of which, this is something we want to throw there too. Just for the sake of getting to other people's questions and stuff like that, let's not throw out suggestions because we do have a forum for that, and we absolutely like to.
Usually we mention something about that.
The suggestion I was asking you to.
Well, we're not doing it, so. No, that suggestion is. So let's get another question. How about the figurine box right here? Oh yeah, you came up to us during the signing session.
What's up, man?
I just have a question about the animation. So, does the animation start once the research and the decision is made, or during?
Pretty much, honestly, whenever we have enough information that we can get started on it, at least from a post perspective, a pre-production perspective, like acquiring models and fixing them and rigging them and getting sets and stuff like that. Like that's all entwined in the animation process. And Ben will more than likely come to me with some idea of how the fight will go. And if it's like super generalized, like intros or just like some fight stuff that isn't really too specific, we would try to get started on that. But for the most part, we try to get started on it as soon as possible. Like as soon as we know when someone's gonna fight B, I'm like, okay, how fast can we get started on pre-production and actual animation because it takes more.
Yeah,
it takes forever.
One of the benefits too of us being still like a relatively small team is that we're all very collaborative, and everybody likes to help like kind of collaborate to express each other's creativity. So like for example, like our writers right now are Sam and Sean, and both of them like when they start getting like a sense of like, oh, I know that like in the fight I'm gonna need to show this, like regardless of whatever happens with the outcome, like this is a very important part to show that this counters this thing or whatever. And so they'll usually get with the animator, so whether it's Torrian or Luis or one of our freelance animators, they'll usually get with them and be like, all right, cool, so like these are these two things that like we need to showcase. So like this is kind of what I'm thinking, but then like, what if we did it this way? Because they are the ones actually animating it.
Yeah, and just to be clear on what that's kind of talking about is that animation is a very complicated process, and you can put together.
It's easy.
Well, I'm talking about like in terms of how many steps there are to everything, and there's a lot that you have to do before you even start on the character A moving to location B or whatever. So like you said, getting the models and the assets, but also rigging the models so they can move, making sure that they move correctly, sizing them so that they're the correct sizes, setting up the environment, making sure that the environment works. Water looks like water, it moves like water. The light, where's the lighting coming from? All that kind of stuff needs to be set up before you even start moving characters around. So that's generally what he works on before he even gets a script. And the writers come into him with ideas like, hey, I want Wonder Woman to fly to the moon. Oh, I guess I gotta get a moon model. I want the moon to like explode. You think we can do that? Oh, I guess we gotta set up that kind of effect. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done before you even start scripting.
Yep.
Well, part of the reason I asked is because like the final outcome of it, does that come like kind of when y'all decided, or do you have like two options that you could like select from that you create?
More than likely, the final outcome is pretty like set in stone, because it's super specific on what the research is, and like if A character beats B character in whatever way, then that way has to be clearly shown, so it can be best understanding and not really confused or whatever.
Yeah, because while he's doing all the pre-production stuff, we'll be working on deciding the victor. And once we have the victor, then the next week is dedicated to writing the battle script. And that will have the victor decided already, so that's in there. And then they get the battle script, and then they start the production part of animation. So that's the general process. The only time we've ever done a two options kind of thing, it's not for animation, but it was for script writing. Like, there was a time when I thought, when we first started getting voice actors, I was like, okay, I'm going to be sending scripts out to them. Should they know who the victor is going to be? What if they spoil it? This is before we started working with Sound Cadence or Team 4-Star and stuff. Team 4-Star did do the first one, but even after that, we were doing open auditions, so anybody could audition. And I was thinking, I don't know these people. What if they are just trying to get the script so they know who wins? I don't know. So I would actually write an alternate ending that would never see the light of day, and I would have to make it up on the spot, and half the time it was something lazy or whatever, and then it was like, clearly the other one's real, because this one is just like them punching them and they die. But nowadays, like, I just don't care to do that anymore.
Well, and also, you know, we're working with a lot, usually we're working with professional voice actors,
yes,
through working through sound cadence. Those are casting.
Production quality is upped itself quite a bit.
Professional lawyers, so they do spoil it.
Yeah.
I still think that's like crazy. Like when we started the show, you know, it's like, oh, it's super cool, and it's almost like we're doing our own little fan fiction. But then, you know, we end up working with like Chris Sabat and Chris Rager and like all these like really incredible voice actors who like we grew up listening to, and it's just like they're all super chill. Like I remember, it was Sabat, right? He was just like, dude, if I can ever do anything, like let me know. Like and then you were like, who have you always wanted to be? And he was like, Solid Snake, right?
Sabat specifically, him wanting to be Solid Snake has been a joke for his panels for a long time. People would ask him, if there was any character who you wanted to voice, who would it be? And his answer would always be Solid Snake. This is a thing that happened for years. And we happened to be at a panel or be at a convention with him at one point, and he mentioned that, and they were like, you want to be Snake? We can make you Snake. We're going to do it, Snake versus Sam. And he was like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then he was...
Yeah, and then since then, getting to know them, like, there's, like, really, really cool dudes. Chris Sabat is, like, one of the nicest people in the world. If you guys ever see him, like, go up to him, talk to him, he'll tell you all sorts of stuff. He's a fun dude. And that's why we reached out to him and Rager to voice Smokey and McGruff. That was Ben's idea. Like, we knew we were going to do Smokey versus McGruff, and then Ben just starts laughing. He's like, what if?
Well, Chris Rager had wanted to be in Death Battle for a while.
Yeah, I understand.
At this point, we had worked with a lot of Funimation in town.
Yeah, but Ben's like, what if for Smokey versus McGruff, we cast Chris Sabat and Chris Rager, and we both start laughing. We're like, and we can bill it, like when we announce it, it would be like, a new Death Battle.
Featuring actors from Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball, Chris Sabat, and it looks like Piccolo, like, you know, all the people that he's been, Chris Rager, Hercule Satan, like all this stuff, as McGruff. And they were like super into it. They thought it was hilarious. Yeah.
All right, my turn?
Sure.
I don't remember. Let's do this. Get smoked hat.
Ooh, Torrian. Favorite fight to anime?
Oh, I mean, the TJ combo versus Ball was pretty fun. Boxing match. Specifically because, like, well, they're all pretty fun. Like, I just have fun doing my thing, and I'm surprisingly pretty good at it. So,
so modest.
I know, I try. But no, because, like, it was fun doing a different type of fight. Like, in that fight...
Nobody's flying around shooting lasers, right? Like,
yeah, but, like, in that fight, like, Balrog knocks out the referee. There's a referee there, which is, I just was, like, a fun thing to do.
The crowd in the ring.
Like, every time I would animate or I would do mocap, I would have to remember about what the referee was doing.
That's awesome.
And what the referee was doing at that time, especially, like, so, like, it was super fun, and then when I kept doing it, I was like, okay, we gotta get rid of this referee.
Yeah.
So we had Balrog, kill him, knock him out.
I remember having so many conversations about that, because that was an episode Nick wrote, and he was talking to you, and you guys planned out this whole thing, and it's like, okay, we're gonna do like a boxing match, and it's gonna be like 3 rounds, and there's gonna be a ref and a crowd and everything, and I was thinking, okay,
so fun.
I'm thinking like what our viewers would see that as, and the first thought that I had was if we do it by rounds, like whoever wins the first round technically wins the death battle, right? I was like, oh, so round 2 and 3, what does that mean? Because if he knocks him down and he's on the ground, then he's just going to kill him. Bam, that's the death battle rule. But in a boxing ring match, he would have to stop and leave. So we went through a bunch of different ideas on like how to incorporate the boxing ring and boxing rules into it. And what ultimately was decided is, yeah, Balrog's just going to kill the ref and screw the rules.
Like, that's how we get rid of the rules, which was a very creative idea, in my opinion, that everyone came up with. It was super fun. So, yeah, the boxing match between Balrog and TJ is probably one of my favorite ones to do. Mercury. Hi, Mercury, I see you over there.
What would you say is most, like, recent, like, requested Death Battle?
What's our top requested one currently?
Yeah.
Probably Thanos versus Darkseid.
Oh, yeah. Ever since Infinity War came out.
Yeah. Before that, it was Galactus versus Unicron. That was like the top.
That's one that just keeps popping up.
Yeah.
Like, that's one that I'm sure we'll do at some point, but I want to make sure we do it right, the animation and stuff like that.
We talked to Torrian about that before too. He's just like, like just looking at the scale of those characters.
What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Let's just do Smokey and think about it.
All right.
Let's see. Turn. Skull mask there. Yeah.
So is Blue Apron and Squarespace really worth it?
Don't you ask questions about our owners? Our Lord and Savior's Blue Apron? This stuff's delicious!
Well, all you have to do is head to blueapron.com/battle.
Hey!
Get your first 3 meals free, and then you can determine for yourself.
That's a whole day's worth of food! Bring this lunch and dinner. You get the ice packs. Is your back hurting? You put the ice packs on your back. Hey!
No, we love Blue Apron.
Yes, we do!
They've been great. Like, I mean, they've sponsored every Death Battle last year and every Death Battle this year. So they've been a huge help to supporting us and enabling us to do what we do. And plus, like, you know, honestly, it's a great product. It's awesome. You just get, one of the things, like, you know, there are certain points that we talk about when what we do is we get a read, and like these are the like key things that an advertiser wants us to highlight. But then there's also usually like, a lot of advertisers are smart and they realize that it will come up better if we talk about our own personal experience, right? And so like there's a part that's like, please talk about your own personal experience. So you know we got to do Blue Apron, and it was like the whole part about like it makes you feel like a master chef. Like it's great. Like you can trick people, man. Like that was my thing. Like you like whip this thing together and it's super easy to follow. You make this like incredible meal that I would never been able to do without that. And I'm just like, oh yeah, look what I just did this. You just don't tell your significant other or whoever you're trying to impress that it was Blue Apron. You just say you made it.
I just need a lower third to just run across.
Yeah, see there you go.
People here.
What, promoting Blue Apron?
Yeah, that's blueapron.com/battle.
Hey. Alright. This is Sora here.
Is there still any battles in particular that you just can't do due to technical animation limitations?
Is there a battle that we can't do due to limitations?
Not animation limitations.
That's right. I have no limitations.
You don't even do all the battles.
I don't even do it.
You're a third of all the battles on your show. There's like a bunch of other animators.
I do all the battles. But you off the who's Louise?
So not anymore from an animation perspective, because before we did run into that, we were doing sprite and 3D, and there were certain characters that was like, it only makes sense to do this hand-drawn, or there's not assets anywhere else, so we need to do it hand-drawn. And now, working with, so we've done an episode with Blind Ferret. If you guys saw it, the Smoking McGruff one, I know it's ridiculous, but how else were you going to do that? So we reached out to them because I love they're looking for group series, and they've been like super cool to work with. They had a blast doing it. And so now that's kind of opened the door. We have this relationship with them, and then also our 2D animator, Luis, which you guys will see if you come to the panel on Sunday, and you'll actually get to see a teaser here in a little bit. With Afro Samurai versus Samurai Jack, Luis is an incredible animator. Like, he really took our 2D fights to the next level because it was sprites, but then he introduced these hand-drawn elements. So for this fight, he was like, I really want to do this fight, and I want to hand-draw it all. And so we're like, okay, let's free you up and let you do it. So now, the good news is, like, from an animation perspective, if we have a character that doesn't have good sprites, or it doesn't make sense to do in 3D, or doesn't have any models, even if we were to get a model made, it would be weird. We always have that option now to either go to Blind Ferret or have Luis hand-draw. So I'd say the only thing that we're limited from a character perspective is more like characters that have no footage to show. Like, so like a literary character.
I was going to bring that up, yeah. Somebody from like a novel who might not have a whole lot to work with in terms of content outside of that novel. No footage to show or analyze and things like that. Maybe we don't even know what the character really looks like because it's just in text. That's not really a limitation per se, like we can still do it, we just haven't really explored that route right now.
It would be weird.
I don't know. I'd like to try it sometime, but I know there are plenty of other characters that people also want to see.
I'm a huge Brandon Sanderson fan, so like I would love bringing like Kaladin from Stormlight Archive or Vin from Mistborn, something like that. Would be sick.
Does anybody know what he's talking about?
There we go, that guy. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. We'd make that death battle for you.
I thought Wiz was the nerdy one.
I'm a huge fantasy nerd, dude. I have read so many. Anyway, let's see what else is there. Is this turn?
I'll take a turn. There's a guy with a box in the back, and I've had that up for a while.
So, what made you know what we need Sega to Sanshiro.
Chuck Norris versus Sega de Sanshiro. Like, that sounds like it came out of nowhere. We had that planned as a death battle since the very beginning. We absolutely wanted to do it. I don't remember.
I really liked Sega de Sanshiro.
We were just really on board with Sega de Sanshiro since before that. Screw Attack was a gaming website first and foremost back then, so we knew all these different random, trivia tidbits about, Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, etc. From back in the day. So we were all really big fans of Sega de Sanshiro as just a concept and the character. And at some point,
he beats the hell out of kids so that they play the Sega Saturn.
Yeah, if you don't know who he is, his entire mission, basically, Sega released the Sega Saturn. It sucked in terms of sales. Nobody bought it. So they're like, how do we get people in Japan? How do we get kids in Japan to buy our system? Let's make up a character who will literally threaten violence if they do not. And that was it. That was the commercial campaign.
Yeah, and this came about because this is also in like the heyday of like Chuck Norris memes, right?
Oh god.
And so that's how this came about, because we were like, who could Chuck Norris even fight if we went that route? This like fictional Chuck Norris mythos that's been built around him. And then the only thing that came to our mind was like, oh, Sega de Sanshiro, because it's like the same type of thing. He outraces an ice skater with his bare feet, like on, he
catches a missile and sends it into space.
Yeah, he kicks baseball. Yeah, he jumps off of the building to save Sega and stops a rocket against glass. I don't know how the hell that works. And redirects it into space. And so we were like, every now and then we do most of our battles based on suggestions, but we also we love doing the show, and sometimes there's ideas that we just really want to do. And that one was one. We were like, because it's also really a cool aspect of the show is getting to introduce a character that some people might not know. We did Bucky O'Hare versus
Fox the Cloud versus Bucky O'Hare.
We just really want to do that matchup.
Nobody ever requested Bucky. People
Never.
requested Fox for all sorts of different matchups, but we really thought that the best matchup would be Bucky O'Hare, so we just did it.
Yeah, because he's also a space bunny and he shoots guns. It's great. And then also it's just really cool to see that effect. So I'm a huge fan of Berserk.
Yes. Guts needs more love.
So when we did Guts versus Nightmare, it was one of the coolest feelings. I got so many comments that were just like, whoa, that's really dark, but that sounds cool. And now I got into Berserk. I had so many people come up to me and tell me that, or read comments about that, or tweet at me that they got into Berserk because of that episode. I'm like, that's awesome. The fact that we can share that with other people is really cool. All right. Yeah.
Cool. Let's do. Okay, mobile charging station. I love you. Thank you so much.
Have you guys ever considered doing some sort of battle royale at the end of every season with winners?
Oh, we get this question a lot.
It's a slight variation of the tournament question. We get the tournament question a lot. Have you ever considered doing a tournament with all the winners or all the losers or something like that? Do you want to explain that, Chad?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. You did it earlier today. So here's the deal. As much as we'd love to do that, because we've talked about that idea since the very beginning, our goal in Death Battle is to remove any element of our own decision, our own bias, or anything like that. So we wanted to actually determine how this would go. So with a show like Death Battle, if we were to do a tournament, we're kind of screwed from the start because it's up to us who we place against each other. So, for example, characters there are characters like Spawn, for example, who would stomp 90% of the people who have won Death Battle, right? Unless we made his first matchup that he just happens to be going up against Doom Guy. Because Doom Guy is literally built to destroy necroplasmic people, right? So
he has a gun that literally takes the dark energy from a health creature and uses it to kill them.
Oh,
right?
So the problem with doing a tournament is that there's no way to do that objectively, because we would be setting up who fights what when. Even if we just drop them all into an area, we could try and determine maybe who would attack what first, but it's impossible. We're still our own view is gonna get put into that, and that's not what the show's about.
Something like
despite
DBX.
what really,
Despite what DBX could work.
Right, and so we talked about like maybe if we were to do something like that, we'd probably do that in DBX because then it's like whatever. DBX is pure entertainment. Let's just watch some badass fights, right? But yeah,
so that would be a hell of a lot of work to put that many characters in one DBX.
Yep. All right, well, I got time for just like like 2 more questions because then we got to show this.
Yeah.
Technically, I think we're supposed to wrap up 3 minutes ago, but whatever. You want to pick it, man?
I'll pick it.
Or Torrian,
So over here with the claw hand.
Okay. Oh, here's the question. How do you deal with the other, like Cartoon Fight Club and all those other shows that people do debunk videos on?
So just how do we deal with other videos that relate to versus matchups and things like that?
They do a matchup specifically after you've done it, or they've done one before you did it, or they do a response video or something.
Oh, I mean,
more power to them.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. So when Death Battle started, versus matches weren't like you could go to Newgrounds to see some sprite animations, but even that was kind of a dying trend at that point because that was more like mid-2000s when that was really popular. So after Death Battle came out and a lot of other people saw it, versus videos started popping up more and more. I mean, it was still a thing, obviously. I don't want to give us that much credit, like we brought it back or whatever, but...
Yeah, I think was it the Machinima or somebody was doing versus?
Machinima did a versus series, but it was just 2 guys talking about it and leaving out to the comments to decide who wins. But seeing more videos like that online is great, because like that just means more people are talking about it and more people, you know, come to Death Battle and come to Screw Attack. So I'm down for anybody to make something like that.
Yeah, and in terms of the debunked videos or whatever, like, it's always so funny because it's like, so many people think, like, when you watch some of those videos, and you know, they're like, oh, they are doing this on purpose. Why? Why? What would be our purpose? To be like, oh, this character should win, but F them, because watch the world burn. Like, why would we do that? That's the thing.
Like we have an agenda against the character.
Yeah, like we have an agenda against a character, or although my favorite ones are when somebody's like, this blank company must have paid them so much money just to make that person win. I'm like, do you think they give a shit? Like Funimation would come to us, you know, or Toei and be like, oh, listen, we're gonna give you like $10,000. Goku better win. Or like, but that was some of the shit we got. Like at like DC, they were like seriously like, oh yeah, man, it must be great having that money that DC paid you. You know, and it's just like, who you think they care? Like, same thing with us, man. It's like totally against our show. It's like, the debunked videos, that's fine if like people want to, you know, go in and like do their own research. A lot of the time, I mean, like this is literally what we do for a living. We have a ton of people on this, and despite what the salty comments may think, like we really are like as objective as possible. We don't have a horse in the race. We just want to actually find out who would win. And so, you know, they're welcome to make the debunked videos. A lot of times, though, we come across things that'll be like, oh, and they'll specifically like hinge their argument on something that we addressed in the episode of why that isn't applicable for our situation or whatever.
Yeah, but even then, like I was saying earlier about the salty comments, like there is a, you know, interpretive element to any death battle. So some people can interpret a feat or something that happens a little differently than we do, and that's, you know, that's fine. It's always going to happen regardless because there's at least some subjectivity to all these matchups.
Do you err on either you guys or whoever's debunking you on top side?
Sorry, say that one more time.
I was saying human error.
Human error? No, I'm more so talking about like when you see a character like falling from space or something like that. So like how do you calculate exactly how he falls from space? Also, like Jin's a great example. There's a feat that Jin has in Ryu vs. Jin where he falls from space, but the way it's presented, we don't actually see the fall, he just falls and hard cuts to him on a beach, and suddenly he's wearing clothes. He wasn't wearing clothes before, I don't know how he got those. So he's on the beach, and it's like, wait, so did he fall and hit the beach? There's no impact marks or anything like that. Did he fall into the ocean and wash up? Where did the clothes come from? What happened during the fall? So there's all sorts of questions about what happens there. So we can either decide to take it literally or assume that there are other things going on, and people might have different ways of looking at that.
Yep. Let's do one more question, and then we'll show you guys this teaser.
One of my favorite animes is Devil is a Part-Timer.
Which of Death Battles is
Sophie's Choice this one, didn't you? Okay.
I mean, right now we have 96 of them, so I'm sure some of them aren't as important as the others.
We've been busy. Let's see.
New one's popping out every 3 weeks.
Yeah. Let's see. At least.
Can I go for anything?
Yeah, go for it.
I do regret the way I turned the Digimon fight so violent. I regret that. I'm sorry, guys.
We ran out of time. We had to cut stuff. So like literally when it was done, it's like we have to get this up in like 8 hours, and then we just watch it and we're like, holy shit.
I at the moment thought it was super funny. I thought it was hilarious. His legs were broken. There was blood everywhere. He punched him in the face. They burned to death. I thought it was super funny. Now I'm thinking about it.
He always remastered it that he did.
We had joked about making the ending as brutal as possible, so we were joking like, well, what if when Morgamon's blowing him up, like Charizard gets in front of Red because Red's legs are broken, and he turns around and they realize that they're gonna die, and a tear drops on his face, and Red hugs Charizard and is like, I got you, buddy.
But this broke his legs.
This is my. We like to do this. We'll like man, how can we make this like the most messed up situation possible? Like, but
Chad does this all the time.
I do it. I'm really bad about it.
I'll show a script. It's like, oh, so Spider-Man just punched Batman in half. What if instead he gets in his face, opens up his mouth, shoots webbing down his throat?
What if when Yang grabbed teeth where she shot in both directions?
Hey, that is one of my favorite deaths, because you were thinking about how are they going to kill him? She's got shotgun gauntlets. Like, wouldn't it be cool if like she fired him off to snap the neck? And you were so into it. Yeah. Yeah, that's your idea.
No, it was his idea. My idea was to have her head spin around one full cycle before she falls to the ground.
Yeah. He really, no, but so, yeah, there's this like really dark side, but with the Pokemon Digimon one, what I wanted him to say, so we talked about this, he's like, yeah, what if Red stepped in front and then the tear, and then he just goes, I'm sorry. As they get like disintegrated.
Yeah, I do regret it. It got unnecessarily visually violent.
Yeah, I remember when that was finished and I was watching it and that happened, and I look at the script, I'm like, that's not fair.
And Ben had put in this little like comic relief joke at the end to specifically like alleviate the tension, which was like, because it started out with the marshmallow, and so at the end,
I can't remember the exact joke, but it was something about the marshmallow.
Yeah, there was supposed to be a little joke to lighten things, but we ran out of time, so that got cut. So instead it was just like the most brutal thing ever. And
then it just ended.
Take that, childhood.
Like, sorry.
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. We got to wrap up because we're past 6. So here's what's going to happen. We've got an autograph session thing going on in the room next door, right after this. Yeah. So if you guys want to meet up, usually like after a panel, we like to meet up with you guys, just hang out and talk. We're going to do that in that room, just so that we can move everybody out and be over there and have that space to ourselves. But before we do that, we do have a preview of the Afro Samurai versus Samurai Jack. And again, this is going to be shown here at Sunday's panel.
Full episode.